to bring you a video about American government, specifically civil liberties. Take a couple seconds to write down everything that you know or think you may know about civil liberties. Okay, so what are civil liberties? Civil liberties are certain protections against the government that are found in the Bill of Rights. Examples of civil liberties include the following: freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and freedom of religion, also known as the First Amendment rights. Let's also look at the Eighth Amendment because it states that the government cannot impose, quote, cruel and unusual punishments, unquote, on people for their principal acts. Originally, civil liberties were not protected from the states, only from the federal government. This changed after the court case Hitler v. New York in 1925. This declared that some of the Bill of Rights do apply to the states under the 14th Amendment, which states, quote, "Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws," unquote. This meant that states now had to follow the rules set in place by the Bill of Rights. Following that, the Supreme Court began to use incorporation doctrine, also known as selective incorporation, which is a constitutional doctrine that ensures states cannot enact laws that take away from the constitutional rights of American citizens that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights. So what exactly was Hitler v. New York? It was a Supreme Court case that stated that the 14th Amendment also affected state governments, that it was not just on a federal level. The story follows. Mr. Hitler was arrested for handing out copies of a, quote, left-wing manifesto, unquote, that called for the, quote, establishment of socialism, unquote, through strikes and class action. He was convicted under criminal anarchy through the state of New York. However, in his trial, Hitler argued that since there was no resulting action following from the manifesto's publication, the statute criminalized utterances without propensity to incitement of concrete action. The New York courts had decided that anyone who advocated the doctrine of violent revolution violated the law. And then went to the Supreme Court, who declared that the protection of free speech, which states that, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, unquote, applied to not only the federal government, but also to the states as well. This was decided the use of the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause, the thing required states to be held at the same level that the federal government was being held at. What is the Equal Protection and Due Process Clause? Why do we need to know that? Well, the Equal Protection Clause is as follows: laws may not arbitrarily discriminate against persons, and due process clauses no state may deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Another case about civil liberties is the New York Times Company versus the United States. The case was between the New York Times and the Washington Post, printing leaked classified documents about American involvement in the Vietnam War for the United States government. According to Orias, a Supreme Court case website, the Nixon administration wanted to prevent the New York Times and Washington Post from being able to publish any and all material about the, quote, Pentagon Papers, unquote, which were a classified Defense Department studying regarding the history of United States activities in Vietnam. Nixon argued that restraining the New York Times or Washington Post was important to protect national security. The Supreme Court declared the Nixon administration's efforts to try and stop the publication of the, quote, Pentagon Papers, unquote, violated the First Amendment. Another case involving strike as a way to protest the Reagan administration's policies under a Texan law that declared flag distribution illegal. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail and charged a $2,000 fine. However, the Supreme Court declared that the burning of a flag was protected expression under the First Amendment. The court also held that state officials did not have the authority to designate symbols to be used to communicate only limited sets of messages, noting that, quote, if there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable, unquote.